Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. Now in this video we're going to talk about a trio set of tensor rings that I sell at Truly Holistic on my product site or product page. And why I'm doing a video on particularly on this product is because at this moment in time I think it's essential, this particular tool. And these three tensor rings are three specific cubit measures that were intuitively guided to me. Anyone that knows my story was that I got into true quantum healing, and after a while, in regards to clearing out negative energies and negative entities and so on, I changed my goal in regards to what I wanted to achieve. Okay, and my goals was to understand reality, because I was kind of sick of just removing entity after entity and negative energy. I needed more knowing and understanding of why they're here and what's the greater picture. Why they're interested in us. And so in that process, leading to this very day and even more as we go on, is I keep getting massive downloads about what really our reality is. Okay, and what is the origin of us? Okay, and with that process, I got these three cubit measures that were intuitively guided to me, and you will only find these cubit measures here at Truly Holistic. Now, the thing about tensor rings is, and I've done a video about tensor ring. Have a look at that on my channel. Is that they anchor frequency. Okay. Now, the old cubit measures that originally were brought through Slim Sperling in the early 90s, like the Sacred Raw Cubit and the Lost Cubit, brought through a very specific cubit measure. Okay, that was the 144 and the 177, and they were incredible cubit measures at the time, but we've now moved on, because one thing about ascension's a cyclic thing, and it's also energetic shifts. And what we do know about energy is is always flowing and energy is always changing and transmuting, and you kind of need to keep up with it. So cubit measures that were brought to us 20, 30 years ago are not as valid anymore. We need to keep progressing and evolving forth. So with my goal being about, okay, what is reality? What is our place within reality? Is that I need to keep my fingers on the pulse of ascension. As it changes, I need to change with it. And hence, because that is my goal, I am then, and they are the questions I am asking, then I get those answers in return. So that's where I place my attention and how I'm using my intention in regards to ascension, and hence that's how things manifest. Okay, and things have really manifested very quickly for me. It's been an incredible journey for me. Okay, and we're powerful creators as long as we place the attention, our focus and our intention in the right manner, where it's for us instead of against us, and that's always the key. Back to the rings. These three particular cubit measures are in connection with every single one of us in regards to our journey of ascension, to grow, to evolve, to rediscover our true self, okay, which is our true identity. When you think about this reality, when you come into this reality for this lifetime, you are given a name, so a label, and you are programmed or told how you should live, okay? You are told what things are important, what things are not, what's abnormal, what's normal, what's bad, what's good. So a majority of your life, you've been programmed to have an identity that has no connection to true self, to you, your core of what you are. Okay? We are conditioned to compete with others, to compare ourselves with others, okay? Which is not what Ascension's about. Ascension's about you creating a better version of yourself, not in comparison to anybody else, every day, evolving every day. So until you get to the core of who you really are, and when you get there, then you feel more at ease with self, and therefore you love self. That's what that means. Okay, there's so many people out there that are looking for love out there, and at the same time don't love self or don't have any ease with self, and they're wanting to fill that void from others instead of looking back at self and healing self. And the way that we heal self is placing our attention and using our intention in the manner to rediscover self. Okay? Now, these 3 cubit measures within this trio set, okay, and we sell a small trio set, we sell a larger trio set, is the activation cubit, the Ascension Cubit, and the Gateway Cubit. Now, we've been using these cubits for a wee while now, and beginning huge amounts of downloads and having the understanding and the knowing the importance of what they bring. Now, like the old cubit measures of the 144, 177 brought a specific frequency in, these 3 cubit measures, which I'm going to show you now, don't bring through a specific cubit measure. They bring through a spectrum of frequencies. And because these are anchoring a connection to your higher aspects of self, they're not just bringing in one source energy for all of us. They connect with us individually, because Ascension is an individual process of rediscovering self. Okay? A lot of the problems are out there because, not at a collective level, but on an individual level, we are disconnected to our true identity, our true self. These cubit measures are all about re-establishing that connection back. Okay? So let's go through how they fit in together and why I put them together as a trio set. Okay? So the small trio is this one here. Okay? Made it a 12 gauge wire. Okay? And the largest one on the outside is the activation. One in the middle is the Ascension, and the small one in the middle is the Gateway. Okay? Now, the step-by-step process is the important, the activation cubit ring is very important in establishing an awareness. Okay? Where we establish awareness, because we then create consciousness when we have an awareness. Okay? There's an extra step after that in regards to once we have awareness of information, then what do we do with that information? That's probably where a majority of people fall over a little bit. Because, if we're going through a process or a journey where we're learning all this information, realizing that, wow, we've been mind controlled, we've been programmed to such a degree that I couldn't see the things I'm seeing now, right? I'm looking at the world in a completely different way. Now, a lot of that stuff puts people in a state of anger because they've kind of been hoodwinked. And we can say you're creating awareness of information and waking up. But if we're going to respond with anger, then we're just going to lower our vibration. It's not going to do any good for us, right? Because we're going to be in the mind and not in the heart. So that response to that awareness is very important, because we can lose our consciousness even though we are learning information from many different sources. Okay, and that's not really intuition. Intuition is something that comes to you. You don't search for it. It comes through you, not from reality or this external world. So just like Nikola Tesla mentioned of 3, 6, and 9. 3 is that 3D state. It's an evolution where we were mind controlled. We had no awareness. 6 is when we all of a sudden step back out of that box and realize, wow, I've been controlled. I've been programmed. I have awareness. That's the start of awareness. That's what that particular cubit measure creates. Okay, as I said, does not anchor a specific frequency in it. Brings in a spectrum of frequency in regards to connection to the sacred heart. Okay, the sacred heart is an end of a gateway, hence why the physical heart is a beating organ, has a rhythm and rate, because there's a vortex flow that sits right behind it, that facilitates the manifestation of what the physical heart is. It's a holographic projection of that light or that frequency. So through there, that connects you back to the heart, okay? And why we call it activation, because it activates everything within the body to allow it to then take downloads of vibration and frequency, because the only way we get downloads of vibration and frequency is through the heart, not through the mind. We have the realities that we see today, okay? And we're all living out our own reality amongst some others' realities, okay? So it's a mishmash of realities. But I guess if we could call it like a collective reality, that's why we see so much fear and the issues that we see out there today, because we've been great creators, but the creation process has been through sabotaging what we really want to create. And the mind's done that, okay? Because when we're in the mind, we're vulnerable to other consciousness, creating an identity for us that's not even us, okay? And we just naturally sabotage our creative capability. But with this particular ring, it creates an awareness back to the sacred heart place. So this is very important. Now this is not just important for us, but this is very important for water, for food, for minerals, elements, supplements, you name it. Okay, everything here in this reality is here because it's bound to a consciousness. Okay, so this is very much in line about our consciousness in this reality alone. Okay, because we need to start somewhere. Okay, so what I find this happens, what this does with water, this restructures water. Okay, so because water loses its structure because it gets programmed by the manufacturing of water and water bottles or water plants where they've chemically treated the water and all those sorts of things that really messes it up. Okay, we're just re-establishing its structure back, and that's why we use this for a water ring, and we sell this as a water ring with the gateway cubit. And we'll talk a bit more about that particular cubit in a minute. But if you want to re-establish its consciousness in this reality, anything, food, water, supplements, anything you want to place in here, not just us. So activation cubit. So that is the biggest ring on either set. So that's the activation cubit 2. And this is the trio set in a large pack, which is made with a 10 gauge wire. So it's a lot more sturdier, and you can use that more in the body and so on. But we'll go through that. Now, we're going to go in regards to process, okay? So the smallest ring of the pack, which is called the gateway cubit ring. Now, the gateway cubit ring is what facilitates, as we go through that sacred heart, okay, which, as I say, is one end of a gateway. Now, the other term we call for gateway is our inner universe, our quantum tunnel. Okay, and why we call it that is because we call it our inner universe because what we've come to find is the vastness of our infinite reach, our universe, is not out here. It's actually within us. And that's why I feel like mainstream science is very much going towards a multiverse idea, because it's a multiverse because each one of us is a universe. We are reflecting or projecting what's within us out here to create the reality, because we're creators of reality. We are creators of reality. And if we stay here, then we can create the reality of ourselves instead of, if we're here, then we're creating a reality of conformity for other consciousness that are manipulating you. Okay? So we call it also quantum tunnel because it's a tunnel that connects you to all the different realities which a part of you exists within. We call those your higher selves. I like to use the term ascendants because they are more evolved than you, so you're ascendants. We do have lower selves too, but our process to evolve and grow, so we're not going to obviously go down to our lower selves. We're wanting to process, progress, and reconnect with our higher aspects of ourselves all the way to our origin, which we call our source self. So this is the next ring in regards to evolution. Okay, so through the heart space we go into the gateway, which we call our inner universe. Okay, and this is very important. We especially for whenever we were wanting to work on water, work on our food, our supplements. The current watering set is those 2 cubit measures, the gateway and the activation. Why we do that is because the activation, as I said, restructures the water, restructures your food in regards to its consciousness within that one reality, this reality. When we add the gateway, what that does is it connects that water, or connects the elements or the minerals in the water or the food with their higher aspects of self. Okay? And what we've found with, for example, let's just take the mineral silica. Silica has a particular purpose in this reality, and all the other realities, its higher aspects of itself, it will have slightly different properties to it. Okay? And what you might have heard you might have heard of ORMI or ORMUS minerals or elements, and ORMI stands for orbitally ORMI. That's right. It's orbitally rearranged molecular elements. Okay, that's what ORMI stands for. And what's actually happening with those elements is they're shifting in and out of this reality into different dimensional states. Okay, that's what you create when you add the gateway. So if you're evolving, you're ascending, you're reconnecting with your higher aspects of yourself, which is meaning that you're making yourself multidimensional. Wouldn't you want to feed yourself in a multidimensional way? Well, that's what that gateway cubit does. It brings in the higher aspects of the consciousness of the food, the elements, the minerals in your food, and in your water, and so on. Your supplements, everything. So they are wonderful in combination. When we bring these two together, that's for the small pack, and then for the large pack, when we bring those two together, okay? Now, a great way you can do for all your supplements is you'd have that you'd place that on your tabletop or whatever, and put all your supplements within the field of those 2 rings and let them just sit in there. Okay, that's a wonderful way to use those particular 2 rings. Okay, and as I say, use that on water. I use that on my water, restructuring my water. So it's at a quality that is far superior to even spring water. And I'm starting off with tap water, by the way. Okay, so this is incredible stuff. Okay, now let's bring in, so that gateway connects you with your higher aspects of yourself. Okay, now the next step is using the Ascension Cubit ring, okay, which is the middle one on the big set, the middle one in the smaller set. Now this particular cubit measure connects you with your origin, your source self. Okay, a lot of the times when we specifically want to do one of these things is we don't want to go straight to source. There is always a process involved. And when you do session work here with me, you'll notice that we don't just jump from there to there. There is always a process, okay? And the process with these 3 rings is that we bring awareness, activation first, then that establishes going through that gateway into that gateway, a connection with your higher self, a multidimensional aspect of you. And then we can connect with true self, our true identity, which is the Ascension Cubit. Okay, so you can see how these rings together are an evolution of your ascension process. Okay, what I've come to find when we're working with water and food and all those sorts of things, we want to just be using the gateway and the activation together. But when we are working on self, we want to bring all 3 rings together with the addition of the Ascension Cubit. Okay, so you work on using these 3 rings. Okay, you can stand over these 3 rings, so you're in that column of light, because a tensor ring creates a column of light. okay? Comes through and it's creating a tensor field here. As I say, that is creating a spectrum of frequency to shift you into a place of awareness, the activation. Then we go up another spectrum of frequency lifted up, where we connect into our multidimensional aspect of ourself with our higher selves, which is going to give you guidance and intuition. Because remember, some of these versions or components of self are not bound to time. They're not bound to some of the limitations we have here. So they can foresee what needs to be done, and they can give you the guidance that you've always required. And then obviously we go up to another spectrum of frequency where we use the Ascension Cubit. Now, one thing that's been coming through a lot lately in regards to is photons, okay? It's clear to say, and we've been mentioning a lot in videos here on Truly Holistic Channel, that we live in a simulated reality. And that this form is just a holographic projection of light. And light equals consciousness, okay? Now, that could be your consciousness, or it could be others' consciousness. What I find with other consciousnesses, they may help you in some way, but they have their specific agendas. So for you to get something, they will take something back. When you connect with you, your specific higher aspects of you and your source self, they will never let you down, because if they do let them down, they're letting themselves down. Okay? And that's why it's very vital and important, because ascension itself is a rediscovery of self. Okay? So that needs to happen in regards to ascend. So going back to photons, we've been really looking at the fact that we want to be a projection of photons, light, that is bound to our higher aspects of self. Because if it's not, we are being made, or we're a holographic projection of consciousness that is trying to sabotage you or create unease, which the word dis-ease comes from, and that will manifest disease and illness. So we're going to connect that with the rings, the colors, okay? So let's use the bigger set this time instead of the smaller set. As I say, you feel this more on the physical when the gauge is thicker, okay? Just even though this set's bigger than this set is still facilitating the same spectrum of vibration and frequencies, okay? Just depends which set you'd rather want. So the activation, which is bringing this awareness back to the sacred heart, this is bringing in the orange and yellow light, okay? An orange and yellow photon energy. Now that photon energy is symbolic of fire, okay? Because when we get too mind orientated and get too beaten down by the world, by reality, by society, and we lose our connection of self, our fire, our passion, our drive gets doused out. Okay, we need to ignite that fire back up, that passion, that drive of life. And that starts from our awareness being back in that sacred heart. Okay, so that is the color or the photons that is facilitated with this particular cubit measure. Okay, the gateway, the next step onwards, which is the smallest ring in the pack, the set, is a white light, white photon energy, because it's an accumulation of all these different realities, right? These multidimensional aspects of you. And what we see about white light is a combination of a number of colors together to make white light, okay? Now, when we look at the sun, because everything here is symbolic, so when we look at the sun in the sky, there's not one sun for all of us. Remember, we're creating our own reality, because I'm looking at this reality through my own eyes. I can't see through anybody else's. So when I look at the sun, when it's up high in the sky, you'll see that it's quite white looking. It's a white light. It's a very bright white light. Don't look at it for too long because it'll damage your eyes. I'm not telling you to look at the sun when it's up high in the sky. But it's a white light, okay? Because that's facilitating that next step through, which is connecting with that gateway energy. When we see the sun, when it's just about to set or when it's just about to rise, you'll notice that a lot of that white light goes in and you've seen that orangey hue, and that's that sacred heart connection. And whenever we do sun gaze, we calibrate ourselves because our consciousness sits back into the heart space. So that's the connection there. So the gateway brings in that white light. And what do we hear from people that have near-death experiences? Go for that white light. We see that white light. Well, that's you going, because we are reincarnated through the heart, and then when we leave, then we have to go through back that way again. Okay? So that's the pathway back to your gateway, which is that white light. Okay? Now, the next one, the last one, is the Ascension Cubit. The Ascension Cubit is blue photons, okay? And this is the only cubit measure that we actually make also out of silver, because why we do that is because we've found that the silver compared to the copper just gives it that extra 5%, that little bit of magic, and brings more of that blue light through, that blue hue of light. Obviously, the copper does a fantastic job. As I say, it's probably only about 5% difference, but it brings in that blue light. And these are the colors that you are made of. Now, your lower self, just to let you know, is a red color, okay? But again, we're not wanting to go back. We're wanting to evolve forward. So the colors of what make you up really, at the core of your consciousness, is red, orange, yellow, white, and blue. Now, where we also see that is that the evolution of the aging of the spectrum of stars, when they are born to when they die, or what I like to say is transmute, because energy doesn't die, it transmutes, is this: blue, white, yellow, orange, red. Wow, how about that? We are a star. Okay? So when you have this set and you use this on your body, then you are bringing more of your light here on this reality. Okay? That's essentially, in summary, what this set will do for you. Okay? So I hope you really enjoyed this video and got some information about this particular set, which I'm very excited about. And I've been putting this in my Ascension Cube, and that's really bolstered its energy, because what we're doing now is my Ascension Cube is the main tool I use to amplify my intent in doing the clearing work with people in sessions. With these rings sitting on top of my in the cube in that tool, while we're making the clearings, we're also re-establishing a greater connection for those clients to connect back with their higher aspects of self. Because what I'm noticing more and more now, where we're going with truly holistic healing, is we are creating you to have a greater connection with self. Because if you have a greater connection with self, then you heal. Okay? The whole thing about not healing, or not being able to use your creative capabilities through where you place your attention or your intention, gets sabotaged when you don't have a connection with self. Okay, it's so important. So hence why I wanted to do this video talking about this set. Such an important set of tools. Anyway, if you've got any questions, comment below. If you want to go and buy the tools, go to my website, trulyholistic.net, go to my product page, and they are both there. $90 New Zealand dollars for the small set, 150 New Zealand dollars for the big set. So until next time, bye.